Race 1 was crazy. A kind of wet, kind of dry pre-race led to a variety of tire choices. But in the end, Dunlop reigns. That was the hot setup.
This is where a track seems to be a little bit wetter. Look at the rain. You can really see it coming down.
Congrats to Yamaha, another 1-2. Richard Bindiner again is always a good thing.
And with those racers going 1-2, we have a new championship leader. And the points up top have tightened up. But with the sun out, heat in the track, and perfect temps for maximum performance, the question is, who has the speed to grab this race by the reins? The beautiful Pacific Northwest hosts one more Superbike race right now. It's time for the MotoAmerica AMA FIM North American Road Race Championship. This round is MotoAmerica Superbikes at Ridge Motorsports Park in Shelton, Washington. Our 5th round of 9 for 2024 at Ridge Motorsports Park in our 10th anniversary season. And yeah, as we get ready for Steel Commander Superbike race number 2, that was Cameron Beaubier back in action. And boy, what a different day we have today. And welcome everyone to the broadcast, and welcome to the broadcast booth. I'm Greg White, sitting alongside two-time national champion Jason Pridmore. Now, Jason, thinking about yesterday, it was kind of crazy, but Jake Gagne is able to finish second in the rain yesterday based off of great riding and a good tire choice, and he regains the championship lead. And sometimes when you win championships, luck can be a factor.
Well, they always say on your bad days, those are the days you win them. And Jake's had a couple of bad days, but he's collected points. We saw him at Brainerd struggle. Yesterday, the rain obviously played into his favor. He gets beat by his teammate. As you can see, the start of this race yesterday, this was a big save from Brandon Posh, who would charge his way all the way back up through the field. See Gagne here trying to go up underneath Camp Peterson. They came onto the front straightaway side by side, had a look over at each other. Went down into turn 1, thought Jake might have the position, but Cam Peterson said no way. He was able to hold that spot. As they came out of the chicane, it was again the two teammates side by side going down into this very tricky spot. This would ultimately bring out the red flag. Sierra goes off the bike there in the chicane. That would end our race a little early, and at the time Cam Peterson was leading, which is kind of a funny moment at the end. Gagne had not seen the red flag yet, but Cam did. So 1-2, as you saw in our tease there, for these two teammates.
They had a lot of fun and a lot of laughs, and they told me post-race that they rode about 70%. There was a lot left in the tank, but they figured they were so far ahead, they didn't need to do anything. But let's take a look at Jake Gagne and his championship run at the halfway point of the season, because he's in a battle with Bobby Fong right now, and you can see the blue line is right there. Those are the points. Gagne's in blue and Fong is in red, and you can see right there around 4 they flip-flopped, and now he's got it back once again. Yeah,
and you got to think, who wants to win this championship? Because we've seen Beaubier up there in the front. Now we've seen Gagne, obviously he's been up front, Fong, and now we got Camp Peterson. It's only 15 points behind them. Josh Herron lost a little time yesterday, but I think the Ducatis are going to be strong here in the dry today for him and Loris Baz, who will be starting from pole.
All right, let's welcome the 3rd member of our broadcast team. It's Hannah Lopa down on the grid.
Guys, the wind is definitely picking up out here. It's safe to say conditions are much better than yesterday. Loris Baz was our top finisher on slicks in yesterday's wet conditions. Starting from his first pole of the season today, Loris, is today the day we see you get your first ever MotoAmerica Superbike victory?
Just gonna try, I got my first pole since 10 years, so it's a pretty good weekend already, and I had a really good feeling on that before all weekend, at the best we are all season. And I'm just enjoying riding a lot, like all day Friday, all day yesterday. So just gonna try to do what I did all weekend, putting my own lap time. I'm pretty confident, comfortable here. It's an amazing place, and I love riding here. So we'll see. Just enjoying riding those 16 laps and trying to bring it home.
A very optimistic Loris Baz starting from the first spot on the grid. Now, guys, I want to point this out to you. We've got 5 MotoAmerica champions in these top 6 starting positions, but I've got eyes on Xavi Torres, last Supersport champion, and he got his first ever MotoAmerica Superbike podium yesterday in the wet conditions. Xavi, this is supposed to just be a fill-in ride for you, but what have you been able to accomplish with this team and the development of this bike in the time that you've been here?
Well, especially this weekend, we find a good improvement on the bike, and definitely we are much closer than the top guys. So hopefully we can have a solid race today, get some data, and move to Laguna to make some more improvements. But overall, the bike is working quite good, and I'm feeling ready for fighting for the podium.
Best of luck, Xavi Torres, guys.
And you're talking about Steel Commander Superbike Championship, Jason, so competitive. There's been 9 different riders who stood on the podium with 5 different race winners this season so far. Now, Ridge Motorsports Park, 2.47 miles. Now, it says 9 left-handers and 7 rights, but it definitely plays more of a left-handed course, built back in 2011. Now, you get up around turn number 3, and you climb up to the ridge, and all the racing happens up on the ridge until you get to the far left of your screen, turn number 13. A lot of passing happens in that slow track as you get down, and a long run to start-finish line where drafting and passing can happen. So if you come out of turn 16 leading, it doesn't mean you're going to win the race. But Jay, let's get a closer look inside on board with our Insta 360 track lap.
Yeah, this is going to be courtesy of the guy who won yesterday, Cam Peterson. You can see it was dry on the day we did this one, Greg, and I love this view. This is coming up over that turn 3 area that you're talking about, that right left. And if you watch his right foot, you can see how his foot is positioned on that foot peg. Knees going forward. You can see he's just on the toes or the ball of his foot on that foot peg. This is all through the big long turn 6 as they flip back over, go down this hill. He's going to go back a gear for here. This will be back to 2nd gear on the Superbike. Then they're going to do two very quick upshifts up to 3rd, 4th for this flat out right-hander. Now late in the lap is this turn 13 where they were going down the hill there.
What great shots. Thanks so much for that Insta 360. As for Bobby Fong, he and his team rolled the dice yesterday. So we'll see if he's able to make the deficit back up for what he lost yesterday. After this.
Continuing here on MotoAmerica Live Plus, the riders with the helmets on, the gloves are on. Crew members still out on the grid area, Roger, but we are getting closer to this warm-up lap.
Yeah, we're getting really close, and you can see that the riders are kind of starting to really get locked in here at their helmets, their gloves. And, one guy we haven't really talked about a ton is Josh Herron. I think he's going to be racy today. Bobby Fong has been fast this weekend. This is just so exciting. You just kind of look all the way down the list. We haven't even said anything about Cameron Beaubier down there in 8th, and Sean Dillon Kelly's had a great year. So I think Josh will be aggressive early on in this race. I know he's hungry for that title again this year, and he's gonna be coming out swinging. We'll see what Cam Beaubier, a couple crashes this weekend, see how he can bounce back.
Yeah, he's one of the riders. If you're just joining us, this is your first taste of Steel Commander Superbike this weekend. Cameron Beaubier has made his return back to the racetrack following the incident that he had and the injury that he suffered back at Road America, breaking his heel. He set out for the 2 races that were held at Brainerd, and now back this weekend. Wanted to see what he was able to do. Ended up pulling into pit lane yesterday in those mixed conditions, and he was on the slick tire. Didn't feel like in his physical state that it was going to be a safe enough time for him to stay out on the racetrack, but he is back today with the helmet on.
Yeah, he's back, and I think if he had rain tires on yesterday, would have really played into his favor because in the rain is less physical. And but unfortunately, made the wrong tire choice and was out there on slicks. And man, that's just so sketchy out there. We've seen riders crashing, and for Cam, I think it was the right call. Pull in. You didn't want to, make that leg any worse, or and then have it even harder to come back from. So he doesn't have a good starting spot. We talked about this track is hard to pass, so we'll see. If anybody can do it, though, it's definitely Cam Beaubier.
Yeah, Cameron just wanted to come out this weekend and mitigate the points that he has been losing by sitting out on the sidelines. You can see now up on the screen the warm-up lap is underway. Loris Baz is our pole sitter. Cameron Peterson, our winner from yesterday, starting alongside him in 2nd. And then we have on the front row as well, Josh Herron. You talked about it. He didn't have the right tire choice yesterday. We'll see what he can do today in these dry conditions. We're going to go ahead and send it back over to Greg and Jason for Superbikes.
Steel Commander Superbike coverage is brought to you by Steel Commander Corps, a leading steel building manufacturer offering expertise, innovation, and a dedication to quality. And by Dunlop, the official tire of the MotoAmerica Championship Series.
That was just tricky. I mean, that was like a cloudy day with a 360. Steel Commander Superbike race number 2 here at Ridge Motorsports Park. They're on the warm-up lap with Loris Baz. Did he say that was his first pole in 10 years?
Yeah, that's what he said.
Is that what he said?
Here you go for it, Greg. Confirmation, Loris Baz on pole next to Cam Peterson and Josh Herron. Bobby Fong there in 4th, Jake Gagne and Xavi Flores. See what Xavi can do today in the dry. Sean Dillon Kelly. Beaubier needs just a good, solid dry race, get some points. Gillum, Posh, JD Beach, and Ashton Yates round out row number 4. Lampkin, Kerr, Ezra Beaubier. And then Bryce Prince, Danilo Lewis, and Max Flinders on row number 6. A little further back, Ben Smith, Dion Campbell, Andrew Lee, Pinkstaff, Camacho, and Augustin Sierra. And then we have Orengo, Pinkstaff again, this time Brian, of course, Bobby Davis, John Knowles, and Manny Segura round out 10 rows of MotoAmerica grid.
10 rows.
Yeah.
Steel Commander Superbikes. All right, so 16 laps scheduled in this race. Conditions are perfect. The problem is we haven't had a perfect weekend from stem to stern, so there are quite a few riders out there that may not have hit the setup exactly the way they want to, that we would expect to if we had a nice dry race number 1. Either way, Loris Baz is going to set the pace. Here we go. Revs are up. Clutches are out, and we're away racing. Looks like everybody in the front row got a really good launch.
Cam Peterson, and it looked like Herron did also, but I think it's going to be Cam P leading the way over Herron and Baz. Bobby Fong, good start as well. He gets himself into 4th early. Looks like Gagne 5th. So at the start, it's the same guy that took the win yesterday. Cam Peterson gets out front here, and he's going to have Herron right behind him. And you know, we've made comments in the past that when we get to some of these smooth tracks, Greg, the Ducatis seem to work really, really well. So let's see how these guys are on new tires. Looks like Herron's going to take a shot early, but Cam P runs it off into turn 6 pretty hard.
And if you're watching Steel Commander Superbike for the first time and you're looking at 2 Warhorse Ducatis, those are the Warhorse HSBK racing bikes. One of the ways you can tell the difference between the 2 riders, not only size of the body, but look at the wheels. Josh Herron on the silver wheels, and Loris Baz today in this race has black wheels. That's a really easy way for you to tell the difference between those 2 bikes. Cameron Peterson, Attack Performance Progressive Yamaha, leading the way on this first lap. A good size-up lap. Bobby Fong, Jason, hasn't had like the premier weekend that we've seen him have, but he's still right there up front early on. But it really takes about 2 laps for this to start sorting itself out.
Yeah, and I think that when you say that about Bobby Fong, you know, Greg, coming here with the championship points lead, had one of those races yesterday where the team put their head together. I talked to Robbie Peterson this morning. He said, hey, that call, completely on me. I mean, he just put his hand up and said, that's my fault. We thought that was going to be the way to go. The good news is the slick tires to the reins. Yeah. They went with slicks, but so did a lot of other people, didn't they? Loris Baz, Josh Herron, SDK. There was a lot of guys that went with those slicks as well.
Betting is now available for MotoAmerica fans. Go to nxtbets.com/playma. For more information, visit MotoAmerica.com.
So already, Greg, you can see a breakaway here of the top 4 guys. They've already started to just pull away from Jake Gagne in 5th. So we have to keep an eye again on our championship points leader in 5th place to see if he's going to be running into those same exact problems. But we have a distinct breakaway of these 4. Herron goes extremely tight down into turn 6. What a move.
Boy, you saw that from a corner ago. But Cam P's going to try to turn up the inside, but Herron's going to lean on him. And that's the problem right now, is if Josh Herron with clean racetrack, what has he been holding back? Hanging out a lap and a half behind Cameron Peterson. Well, you can see all those bikes under acceleration already just looking for grip.
Moving just a little bit, but you know, these guys, they're gonna be grabbing handfuls at the moment, Greg, while the tires are still new. Look how tight he goes. And look at Bobby Fong. He makes a big bid for the 3rd place spot over Baz. He makes it. Does he make it stick? Baz looks like he's being really protective. Yep, Baz went extremely right to try to block Bobby from doing it. I think Baz realizes that if he wants to try to win this race, he's got to stay up next to these 2 guys in the front. He wants to take a shot at Cam Peterson quickly as well, as it looks like Gagne, what a comeback he's made this lap. So maybe there was a mistake in that opening lap for Gagne as he went, looking at his splits, nothing really standing out. He was quickest in that 2nd split by a 1/10 of a second, but the number 1 really did a lot on this lap to make up that deficit. 40.9 for the leader, Josh Herron. You can see, Greg, look at that little bit of a gap as he's starting to just eke it out. This is what he can do on certain days, Herron, and he wants to make up some of those points he lost yesterday.
He does, and for Cameron Peterson, Jay, the blue bike in the 2nd position, going into the chicane, the rear wheel came off the ground, and it looks like Cam Peterson trying to get the bike stopped is not working out for him just right now. But Baz in 3rd place, Hannah.
He is, and you could hear it in his voice when we did that grid interview a little bit earlier. He's rebuilt a lot of confidence after a tough season in World Superbike last year, and let's not forget, he came back from an injury the beginning of this season, so he's happy to show what he's capable of and that he still has potential. Also, having his girlfriend, longtime girlfriend Joyce, here all season, she does some physical therapy for him as well, has really made a difference to have that support physically, emotionally, and mentally.
Yeah, and one of the injuries that Baz has had, Jay, is very similar to what Cameron Beaubier has, the heel injury.
Yeah, the heel injuries are tough, and you can see Cam there in 6th place. He's the one just behind Gagne in the distance. So really, really nice effort so far from Cam Beaubier, and we'll see as this race goes if fatigue plays in a role. Obviously, he's in a tremendous shape, but not sure how much he's really been able to do with that heel the way it has been. So, but right now at the front, Cam loses a little bit in the beginning of, well, he did on this lap anyways. He brings it all back in the second half of the lap. So, you know, it's going to be a lap where it looked like Herron was going to be maybe a second up after that first couple turns, but Cam Peterson does a nice good job at getting that back to +0.
And for all you Richard Kerr fans, we hear that he has crashed in this race. So for Richard Kerr, out of 13th last time by the stripe, and on down the list.
And 5th yesterday in those conditions was Richard Kerr. So it was a great result from him yesterday.
There
You see him here on the left-hand part of your screen. So what a treat having him around. He's going to go chase his bike down, maybe get back out. But looking at a 40.2, Greg. Cam Peterson, 40.2 that last lap. 40.4 for Herron, 40.6 for both Baz and Fong. And then you had Gagne there at a 41.2. 1.3 seconds behind Bobby Fong was Gagne. It looks like that gap's getting a little bit bigger again to me. So, yeah, we'll see. But the front four definitely made a break here.
Just for reference, the race lap record is a 1:39.633 in race 2 in 2023, set by Cameron Beaubier. So just a few tenths of a second off of that race lap record for Cameron Peterson. The problem, Jay, is looks like for Peterson to do that, he's really having to make up a lot of time that he's losing on the front end of the motorcycle into those corners initially. Bobby Fong having a good run, though, right where he needs to be in this championship, as Jake Gagne once again starting to drop back like he did a couple laps ago, Jay.
Yeah, Bobby Fong always, you know, comes really good towards the end of the race anyways, as far as another guy. All these guys are really, really fit. Sometimes Bobby looks to me like when the tires are getting a little bit older, he can still continue to push hard on that 50. As you see him coming onto the front straightaway here behind those leading 3 bikes. Everybody just kind of staying the same, 40.2. First 4 riders, again, all in that minute 40 bracket. And then the rest are in the 41s. Gagne, and then behind Gagne, Chavi Force now has got by Cam Beaubier, SDK. And how about Hayden Gillum back there as well, Greg? He has gone 41.6, 42.4 that last time by for Hayden Gillum. He is 9th, and Brandon Posh currently running in 10th.
And back there in 14th place is Danilo Lewis, who is leading the Superbike Cup Championship. That's a championship within this championship for stock 1,000 machines that decide to up their class and go race. So it's a stock 1,000 spec machine. For a lot of the riders, same bike they race when they race stock 1,000 class, and he is the current leader of that championship.
Now, if we look here, Greg, Herron is really pushing the pace this lap, 32.8 that first sector. So we're waiting for sector 2 to come up. Hannah, what do you got for us about Josh?
So I asked him how the Ducati suits this track, and while there's not as many straightaways for that Ducati power to really show and stretch its legs, he said the bike is really well-rounded. It's not super temperamental. He's great on speed and on the brakes, but they also have really refined their chassis setup. He said his race pace is great, and he's also done enough laps in a row to see where the tire will drop off today.
Yeah, that makes a huge difference, obviously. Knowing it is Sean Dillon Kelly on the top pro. BMW goes up the inside of Cameron Beaubier, a corner in which Cameron Beaubier hit the deck twice this weekend. And of course, coming back is Beaubier from that injury a lot earlier than we thought he would come back, trying to collect as many points and hold on to some decent position in the championship.
Yeah, I mean, yesterday was such a shame. It was too bad. With the right tire choice yesterday, maybe Cameron could have got up into the top 5. But like, again, We saw a handful of riders go with those slicks, thinking that they were going to be the right, or thinking that was going to be the right tire choice. Xavi Flores now has moved his way onto the backside here of Jake Gagne. This is the battle for 5th. Gagne last time through at a 41.7. 40.8 for Xavi Flores, putting that into perspective. Loris Baz just up the road in 3rd did a 40.8. Bobby Fong's at a 40.6. So for Flores here on that number 34 Vision Wheel M4 X-Star Suzuki, he's put it in a really nice ride and has drawn himself up to the back of Gagne. So it'll be interesting to see where the Spanish rider makes this pass.
Filling in for Richie Escalante, who started the season on the Vision Wheel M4 X-Star Suzuki, and he's doing an outstanding job for the team as they have worked so hard over the winter to improve the GSXR 1000. So Gagne holding on, already with some tight lines. Can hear all the bikes behind him now. And, you know, for Josh Herron and Cam Peterson, still in 2nd place with Loris Baz. Looking at 4th place, Bobby Fong. Right now, he doesn't know what's behind him, but he really wants anybody, Flores, Dylan Kelly, you know, Bobier to get by, because it's all about those points.
You start looking at this points championship. Baz is 41 points back in 5th place. Herron is 26 points back and leading. And of course, Bobby's 12 points back of Gagne, with Peterson 15 points back. You know, if this race ended now, Greg, you're going to have 5 riders all within 25 points or better of each other. Now, Bobby Fong is all over the back of Baz. I've seen him try to take a couple of shots already while we were battling or looking at that battle for 5th. I could see just up the road that Fong and Baz were engaging a little bit here. So Fong probably feels like he's got a little bit better pace than Baz right now, as the 2 in front have gotten away. It's a full 2nd lead now for Herron as he goes 40.1 2 laps ago. He went 40.5 this last lap, but he's just gone fastest first split of the entire race, and he's pulling Cam Peterson right along with him as Cam does his personal best first split as well. So they're just getting away from these 2 here.
So impressive. Josh Herron out front, who just goes past the sector 1 time. Josh Herron, the 2013 Superbike champion. Here's a look at the 34 Vision Wheel M4 X-Star Suzuki's Xavi Flores. Takes over 4th place, and Loris Baz on the right part of your screen going wide. So Ridge Motorcycles' Bobby Fong will take over 3rd spot, at least for the moment.
What a move. He had already tested that one other time, Greg, didn't he? And he ran a bit wide, and Loris was able to cut it up underneath him. That time there was no way that Loris could kind of counterattack on Bobby. Bobby runs it deep into 13, gets that Ridge Motorcycles R1 turned, and now you can see he's already starting to gap it just a little bit over Baz. We'll see if he's able to pull up on the back of the 2 in front. As you can see, Josh Herron right now still head down. He's going to run a 40.2. Peterson runs his personal best lap of the race at 40.2, and it is exactly a 1.000 second lead.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy.
It's exactly a second. So Cam Peterson's still riding hard here, trying to keep Josh Herron honest, keep that pressure on. We still got 9 laps to go. Bobby Fong that time through goes 40.8, finds himself 2 seconds behind Cam, 3 seconds obviously behind Herron. So we'll see if that gap begins to come down at all.
The run that Cameron Peterson's been on lately is so impressive. Coming into the season, you can see top speeds here at Ridge Motorsports Park. 163.3 for the Ducati of Herron. Baz right there, Peterson as well. Boy, these motorcycles here at such a short racetrack. You know, we don't get the top speeds you would at, say, a MotoAmerica of nearly 200 miles an hour, but the acceleration of these Steel Commander Superbikes is insane.
I just feel like as we've grown over the years here at the Ridge, more and more riders have come up to me and told me that they enjoy the place. As you see now, SDK has got through on Gagne as well. Cam Bobier is going to be looking for a way through on that number 1. It's pretty wild when you think that these 2 guys right now, Greg, who are running in, what, 7th and 8th place, in Gagne and Bobier. It's so crazy to think they're running 7th and 8th, both for their own reasons. Obviously, Gagne's got some issues with his arms, but these guys have really dominated MotoAmerica championships throughout the years. And again, the depth of our field is pretty strong. These guys are battling through some injuries, but they're 7th and 8th right now as SDK has made that pass.
Yeah, you're talking about the number 1 and the number 6. Since MotoAmerica began back in 2015, there's only been 3 different Steel Commander Superbike champions. And other than one single one won by Tony Elias, the 1 and the 6 have all the rest. And how about this guy right here?
I love it.
Number 69 in Hayden Gillum. And what a story Hayden Gillum has on the Real Steel Motorsports CBR 1000 RR-RSP. That's a stock 1000 configured motorcycle, Jason, but it's not the bike he races in stock 1000.
Yep.
He's got 2 bikes for that team, and he told me that both bikes feel completely identical. He said he could not tell the difference.
Wow.
Only time I've ever heard that from a rider.
Yeah, it's goes to show how good that team has put these bikes together for him. And, you know, that's a nice thing to hear. Obviously, he's leading our Stock 1000 championship currently. They'll also be riding at Laguna Seca, will Stock 1000. So when we get down there, I don't think that we'll see Hayden in Superbike because he'll also have other duties with Vance and Hines.
Correct. He's
Harley, correct?
He's only doing 2 classes a weekend. Well, at least that's the last time I talked to him.
He has the potential to do 3.
He has the potential to do 3.
Yep.
But they kind of said 2's the magic mark. He's got the commitment, obviously, the #1 plate in the mission or the King of the Baggers class, and then of course he's going to do Stock 1000 because of that championship. But because he was so fast at Brainerd, I don't know if they're going to keep it, because he would have done really well if he'd been in the Steel Commander Superbike class when they were in Brainerd. Nonetheless, these two, Jake Gagne, Cam Beaubier, currently 7th and 8th on the racetrack, as Herron holding on to a 2-second lead out front of Cam Peterson. Bobby Fong just goes his fastest personal lap of the race up front. 3 seconds now.
He's only a second behind Cam Peterson now, Bobby Fong is. So Bobby Fong is on the charge. He's been the fastest guy on the track the last 2 laps out of our top 3. Bobby Fong has been a little bit quicker than both this man here, but Herron has moved himself out to a 2.1 second lead, Greg, and he's gone 40.1 as his best, 40.4 that last time through, and you can see there's a lot of space now between him and Cam Peterson, and Bobby Fong is the man on the move as he's going to try to close that gap down to the back of Cam P there. And Jake's battle for second.
And I talked to Herron about his motorcycle and how the Ducati handles like sharp bumps, and in looking forward, you have this racetrack, Ridge Motorsports Park, which is smooth. WeatherTech Raceway, Laguna Seca, on some new asphalt. Mid-Ohio just got repaved. Coda's pretty decent with some new asphalt by the time we get there. And New Jersey Motorsports Park.
Sorry, I could just see. Did you see how quick Bobby's bike's turning into that tight left? He's able to get in there a lot tighter than Cam Peterson. So
that's been the story, though, for the last several races.
Yeah.
Between the Attack Performance Progressive Yamahas and how they decided to set up their motorcycle, and Wrench Motorcycles. Now, the thing was this weekend for Bobby Fong and his team is they have a new swing arm that was designed by Nick Seiling, and they were going to give it a try. But with some little bit of problems they had on Friday and with the way the weather was and everything else, it's like they've had to put that whole plan on pause with the new swing arm, because they're hoping that the swing arm is going to give them a little bit more edge grip, which, of course, everybody's looking for in this class.
Everybody's
it's always
looking
about
for
more edge grip.
But they found something, because that bike is turning on a dime, and I've noticed it before where he's able to exit a little tighter, he's able to tip it in a little tighter, but not give up really any speed in the middle of the turn.
So basically what they wanted to do, because of the way the schedule was, is try the new swing arm this morning, and Hannah's telling us that they are on that brand new swing arm. So obviously, as we continue to get this minor accordion effect with Bobby Fong and Cam Peterson, Hannah, what do you know about this swing arm that Bobby Fong's got on it?
Yeah, so Nick told me about it. He said it takes a couple of weeks for them to fabricate it after designing it, but it's got some different flex characteristics than the previous rendition that they were running to give him a bit better drive grip and to allow the bike to turn a little bit better. He said this morning they were also looking for better feel on the front end, and they certainly found that. Bobby said ultimately line choice in these final laps will be a determining factor of whether he can hold on to this last podium position.
Ooh, line choice, okay.
I think he's not only going to hold on to it, I think he's going to find himself one more spot up.
Right here, look at the turning. Oh, he got it turned here side by side, so Fong tried it, but he had to lift it up for a second, so he lost a little bit of that corner speed, and Peterson, oh, whoa.
Wow, he lost the front there. You know, it's good, though. Bobby was giving him some room. I mean, Bobby was giving him some room, and that's what made it to where those two didn't make contact. That's just good, hard racing between the two of them. But, man, you cannot get away from the fact that that bike turns the way it did. Now, he was 3.3 seconds behind Josh Herron before on the last lap was Bobby Fong. So he's charging forward right now. And let's see what it is this time by. I'm sure it's going to cost him a little bit, but the lead now is 4 seconds at the front. You're not going to catch Josh Herron with a five laps to go, 4 seconds up the road. Bobby's going to do everything he can to try to pull up. But look at this on the left-hand side of the screen. I mean, Greg, there's like 4 bike links in between those two as far as how tight he can get in there and turn it. And then you're going to watch this. This is just 2 veteran guys going at it. See that room that he's given Cam? He still gave him some room
what a save
to try to turn
Cam.
the bike. But there's a little rise in the middle of that turn, and that's what unsettled Cam's bike that made it to where Bobby could kind of just roll and keep it to the outside.
Here's a look at your live championship right now. If this race ended currently, we would be tied up between Gagne and Fong, with Peterson only 7 back and Herron only 9 back. That's what the difference is between the pass that Fong was able to make. That's 4 extra points going from 3rd to 2nd place. And currently Gagne sitting back there in 8th. So for Gagne just behind Beaubier, boy, what a championship we have in Steel Commander Superbike. And for this guy, Josh Herron, Jason, you and I have talked about this off camera. We've talked about it on camera. We've talked about it on the podcast.
Yeah.
And this is the danger man in this championship, as Josh Herron and his team, as he continues to get just dialed in with this motorcycle. And we're going to some racetracks that he loves, gets along with. And keep in mind, there's not a lot of racers in this field that have raced at Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. It's been a long time since we've been there. And when we get there, August 18th through the 20th, that's just old hat for Josh Herron. This guy has been around the block. Your 2013 Steel Commander Superbike champion, trying to work on his 12th career Superbike win. We have just about 4 laps to go in this race. And what a performance he's put on, as Bobby Fong is trying to chip away at a 4.3 second margin. And you can see right there the last lap and the times that they're doing. Herron still flying at 40.7.
Yeah, but what a rebound for Bobby Fong after a rough day yesterday. Comes in here leading the points. Had to just try to get that finish, didn't he? And if you remember, Greg, he pulled into the pits yesterday. They changed the tires on that thing. There was a red flag, but he was still actively participating, which was a key. And that got him an extra couple of points that maybe he wouldn't have got. And as they come up on a couple of back markers now, these two battling for 2nd and 3rd. But for Bobby, that was key, that team changed those tires and got him back out, wasn't it?
It could be crucial. That 2 points could be the championship at the end of the year. When he pulled in and they put him back on the racetrack, when the red flag came out, our leaders were going through like the turn 13 area, and Bobby was actively participating in segment number 2. Now the big deal, Jay, of course, is the way the rules read. It's kind of like, okay, that was the red flag that ended the race. So that active participation is more on restarting the race and rejoining. Okay. But nonetheless, the fact that he came in and the crew said, you know what, we're not going to settle for it. Let's go ahead and change tires, get you back out there. It could be 2 critical points by the end of this season. And that effort in race number 1 at Ridge Motorsports Park could be the difference. Loris Baz from pole position to 4th.
This guy's he's had a lot of pace all weekend, Greg. Feel a little bit bad for Loris. I think you would expect, he would expect that I think he was going to be more of a real podium challenge guy, maybe even a race win guy. But right now he's solidified in 4th. He's about 3.2 seconds behind Camp P, so he's kind of running a little bit of a lonely race, as the guy behind him now is SDK. Sean Dillon Kelly has got past Chavi Flores. We haven't talked about SDK much the last couple of rounds. He's, as you'd expect in your rookie Superbike season, you're going to have a couple of rounds that are a little bit of a throwaway round, but you're learning as you go, and this guy stays as positive as they come.
The big deal is, as SDK is in 5th place, in talking with him today, we talked about basically the transition from Friday to Sunday, and he said, look, we just didn't start out strong. We were pretty lost. He said, but the great news is, and the confidence news is that we've made big steps over the course of the weekend. And so, the biggest deal is when we talk about having a baseline setting for your motorcycle, a baseline setup, they don't know if it works at every track just yet. The baseline was good at the beginning of the season, but the good news is, Jay, we got a lot of characteristics. If you look at the characteristic of Ridge, WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca, and Mid-Ohio, they're very similar. So if they can continue to work on the setup of this motorcycle for this racetrack, by the time we get to Mid-Ohio, in terms of the elevation changes, the ups and downs, corner characteristics, it could pay huge dividends for this team.
Yeah, and he's just going to keep on doing the work that he's done. We've not seen many mistakes out of him. We saw one there at Brainerd. But overall, STK has ridden really well. This is the battle just a little further back. You got Xavi Forres, Cam Beaubier, and how about Hayden Gillum? I think the championship now, we might even see, if it ends the way it does now, Bobby Fong might be leading, only because Hayden Gillum has got by Jake Gagne as well. And Gillum now is knocking on the back of two Superbikes right in front of him. Again, Beaubier there and Xavi Forres. Where's Hayden Gillum going to make this pass? Because, Greg, this is what would it be, 6th place for Gillum on this Honda, and it's been very welcoming for a lot of people in the paddock as well as us to see Honda back, winning races, doing well in Stock 1000. And this guy here, I'd love to see him on a full Superbike.
Well, so would his team, and they've already talked about it. The possibility of the future is unknown, but right now they're just enjoying the season. He has 2 motorcycles, like I mentioned. One of them is specifically for Steel Commander Superbike, the one he's on right now, and then the one for, for Stock 1000. But what I do know is that this is a 2023 CBR 1000 RR-RSP. They have a 2024, and the improvements in the 2024, a lot of it comes with mid-range and acceleration, and across the board, it's a better motorcycle than a bike that he's already winning on. Now, Jay, you would expect in this battle for Hayden Gillum, the 69, he's not going to be passing anybody on drives, not a Superbike versus Stock 1000, especially a Cameron Beaubier. Where he's got to make a pass is going to be either corner entry or
right
just
here,
flat-out corner speed.
Coming into this turn right here.
There he goes.
Yeah, I mean, he might try to get 2 for 1.
Boy,
No, but you can see nimbleness of that bike. Seen it all weekend, seen it all year. He's able to put that Honda anywhere it wants to go. And that was relatively easy. Now he's going to draw up onto the back of Xavi Forres and try to do the same thing as we get white flag, Greg. 1 lap to go for Josh Herron, and what has just been a pure class performance by him, as you'd expect. This is the kind of stuff this guy does. Goes 41.1, 4.3 seconds, reading his board, seeing what's happening behind him just by reading that. But pretty much, I don't want to say it was easy, but this guy has a tendency to make things look pretty simple.
When he's dialed in, he is just unstoppable. And he needed a good start. He got one, was able to make a pass for the lead early on, set the pace. And for Josh Herron, the number 2, it's what a commanding performance for the Warhorse HSBK Racing Ducati team. Of course, Herron, the 2022 Supersport champion, who led from the beginning of that championship. 2013 Superbike champion. So many wins under his belt.
I mean, great. The amount of points he's picking up right now, he's going to get these 25 points. And if you look at Gagne right now in 9th, he's going to get 7. So, I mean, he's just picking up a chunk of points right now here. And the championship lead is going to be really fun to look at the end of this race, as he's got about 3 more corners to go. And he looks back and sees nobody. And what a great sight and feel that's got to be for him. I'm not going to say who I chose to maybe, or who I picked today that could be the guy to win. But I knew this guy was going to be a lot of trouble.
Off the ridge comes Josh Herron, the California native, with a couple of corners to go. And in dry conditions under the beautiful Washington sunshine, it's all Josh Herron with a big victory. He takes the checkered flag. And now we're looking at more championship points as well, as Bobby Fong has come across the stripe.
Hayden Gillum got him. So Hayden Gillum got by Xavi Forres as well. So he's going to end up 6th on that Stock 1000 spec Honda.
Boy, that's a pile of cash in contingency from Honda as well. So Hayden Gillum will come across the stripe just ahead of Xavi Forres and Cameron Beaubier in 6th place. So it's going to be Herron Fong, Cameron Peterson comes home in 3rd, Baz in 4th, Sean Dillon Kelly 5th. Super solid. Hayden Gillum with a late race charge in 6th. Forres and Beaubier, and your former championship points leader, again, Jake Gagne, comes home in 9th place. Here's a look at the lap progression for Josh Herron. And you can see fastest lap of the race was on lap number 5, a 140.167. And what a job by Herron and his team. And what has to be just a very interesting race weekend. I mean, the first session, the cloud cover, it was ripping up Dunlop tires. It was cool outside. Didn't get a good job of setup. Then we had a nice afternoon session. We had a decent qualifier, and then the rain hit. And boy, they hit the setup just perfect. And we'll talk to Herron when we get back to Ridge Motorsports Park as he shakes hands with Sean Dillon Kelly.
What a great race for Josh Herron. You see putting his head down, and Loris Baz there putting his hand up, wanting to congratulate him. But it looks like by that body language, Josh Herron on this cool-down lap is in a little bit of disbelief.
Yeah, and I think we see him being a taxi as well, winning the race and going to stop and pick someone up. But for Josh, man, this is what happens when he has a good Friday, and then he qualifies well, and he puts himself on the front row, and you know, he's just riding so well right now, and I think it's been huge having a teammate that he likes. Also, it's been huge for this team, I believe, as well. You know, last year they showed up at all these tracks and they had a blank notebook. Now they show up and they can go back and they can look at some notes, and they start these Fridays really felt far up compared to last year. So it's been huge for them. And you know, I said it a couple races ago when other riders were starting to have their problems and Cam got hurt and Jake was having his issues. Josh Herron, personally, I thought he was the guy to watch, and he's, you know, a couple other guys are going fast too, but Josh is just, he's on it right now. And, you know, I've seen Josh since he was a young kid, came into, you know, the Pro Series, and, you know, he's definitely not lacking talent.
As he continues to come back around, another rider that had a great day, especially in terms of championship points, putting in just a tremendous ride, was Bobby Fong.
Another great ride for Bobby, and that's what you got to do. You know, didn't get a good start, but he had to work his way up into second, collect those points. Just a great job by Bobby and that whole Wrench Racing crew. They show up to another track that they're competitive and they're fighting at the front, and it just shows you that they're going to be in it for the year. And for Bobby, great ride. Also for Cam Peterson as well. You know, I'm sure he wants the win, but he's got himself in the title fight as well. And you know, when you got third place for the day, you got to take third place when you're going for the title. You can't throw it down the road. You see him, you know, having a little trouble getting the leather undone there.
He had that wrist injury, but he feels like he's been riding better than ever, and he has certainly shown that this weekend with a podium result today, a win in the race yesterday, as Josh Herron has now made his way over to Winner's Circle. You saw that hug there between Bobby Fong and Cameron Peterson. It's also a great day to beat Robbie Peterson, Cam Peterson's dad, the crew chief for Bobby Fong, being able to be over there and celebrate the rider with this podium with both of his riders.
Yeah, it's really cool for Robbie to be able to be in that spot, to see be at the podium for not only his son but his rider as well. And Sean Dillon Kelly, that's a great ride for him. Struggled a little bit this weekend, but Hayden Gillum, top 6, phenomenal ride on that stock 1000.
It's your ride.
Certainly making up for the issue that he had earlier today. He does use 2 different bikes. It was a different Honda that was out there on the Superbike grid. Let's go ahead and send it back over to Greg, Jason, and Hannah.
Steel Commander Superbike coverage is brought to you by Steel Commander Corps, a leading steel building manufacturer offering expertise, innovation, and a dedication to quality. And by Dunlop, the official tire of the MotoAmerica Championship Series.
Josh Herron in with his crew to celebrate after a commanding victory. At the end of the day, it's going to be a 5.063 margin of victory. And here's a look at those results as we have them for you. It's Josh Herron with Bobby Fong in second and Cameron Peterson in third spot. Loris Baz, Sean Dillon Kelly, and Hayden Gillum, first of the Stock 1000 competitors over Xavi Forez, Bobier, and Jake Gagne back there in ninth. But now we get to send it down to Hannah.
For Josh Herron, he set sail, put his head down, and top of the box it is. Another race victory in the books for you. You looked so incredibly comfortable out there. Was it as easy as you made it look?
No, it never is. I think that's the crazy thing about racing is no matter how far out somebody is, it looks easy. It's always super hard. So we had a difficult weekend, especially yesterday. Yeah, we just messed up yesterday on the call of tires. It's unfortunate, but we're clawing our way back. Slowly but surely, we're clawing our way back in this championship. my entire Warhorse HSBK Racing Ducati team. These guys mean the world to me. Everybody on the entire team, doesn't matter if it's Baz's side, my side, they work really hard. They've given me a good family atmosphere to thrive in, and I just want to repay them for it this year. So this goes out to those guys. Couldn't do it without them. You know, I missing my little boy Griffin. He hasn't been in the last couple races, so this one's for Griffin. And yeah, see you guys at Laguna Seca in a couple weeks.
Congrats, Josh, guys.
It's true, Jay. I mean, it's not always as easy, and it takes a village to definitely get you on top of the podium.
Yeah, there's no question. And this guy, once he gets rolling, he gets some momentum and he gets confident. This is the kind of performance that you see from a guy like Josh Herrin. Hannah.
Second place today for Bobby Fong, and you were battling with Cam Peterson. Now, we were talking about running that new swing arm. You didn't really get a chance to try it because of the conditions yesterday. How was it a factor in today's race?
No, it's good. Honestly, the bike's always handling good. You know, I say this every weekend. It makes me look good out there. These guys are riding good, and I just need to qualify a little bit better, give myself a better chance. But we got some points, and looking forward to Laguna Seca, my home round. And thanks everybody for coming out. It seems like this was the biggest crowd I've seen here, so it's great. And we had some good weather today, so yeah, looking forward to my home round and just continue the momentum.
And Bobby Fong overtook the championship points lead by 1. So yesterday, finishing that race really made a difference, guys.
Single point lead heading off to WeatherTech Raceway, Laguna Seca. That's getting the job done, JP.
Absolutely, and he came into this round leading the points. I think he's leaving here with the points lead, still going into his home round at Laguna. He'll have some good feels there, as we always do when we get to Monterey.
Let's get back down to Hannah with third place.
Cam Peterson still in the championship points battle, rounding out our podium. But Cam, when you pulled into victory lane here, you're shaking your head a little bit. What's going on?
Yeah, just a little bit frustrated out there. You know, the team gave me a bike that could go win a race, and yeah, unfortunately about halfway through, I just got the worst arm pump I've ever had in my left arm, and my hand was kind of coming off the handlebars in between 5 and 6, and I was just really struggling to hold on. And it's just a bummer because the bike was there. I had a great bike underneath me, and we could have gone and won that thing. But you know, Josh rode an incredible race. So did Bob. But you know, first and a third here at the Ridge, I'll take that and keeping myself in the points hunt. But massive thank you to the whole team: Attack Performance, Progressive, Yamaha, Yamalube, Yamaha Financial Services, Alpine Stars, Shark Helmets, Troy Lee Designs, everybody in my corner. Thank you so much, and thank you to all these beautiful people for coming out and supporting us.
Congrats, Cam, guys.
Telling you, man, dude's on a roll right now.
He is. He's doing great. He's getting those podiums. He's won a few races this year, and he's done a really nice job. The arm pump thing is definitely concerning because, you know, we see so many different riders struggle with it. What Gagne is struggling with is even worse than that, with the numbness and things. So hopefully for Cam, it was maybe just a one-off thing here at the Ridge.
But it's time for Josh Herrin to go to the top of the box and celebrate with all these fans. And our coverage will continue when we get back to Shelton, Washington.
Staying with you here on MotoAmerica Live Plus, as you now see the riders making their way up to the podium to collect the hardware. And he answered that question there for us, Roger, in terms of Cam Peterson and why he was having a hard time with the gloves and the leathers due to arm pump.
Yeah, and this track is really tight and technical. We've talked a lot about that this weekend, and that can cause arm pump, like a track like Road Atlanta that's got a lot of elevation and braking, and hopefully it's just a one-time thing, man. I bet that Yamaha team is heard enough about arm pump already this season to last them a lifetime. So hopefully it's just a one-time thing, and that can happen. Sometimes in a race you forget to breathe and you can get arm pump. Hopefully for Cam, he's able to bounce back. Bobby did good, but you know, Josh Herrin right now he's really on a roll. If you go back to Road America, winning, next race won a race, here again this weekend. Man, he is really riding the best that he's rode. Even last year I thought was the best that he rode, and I think he's starting to believe that, you know, this title could be his.
Going in with 2 bikes this season, and having the 2 Ducatis out there, teammate for Josh Herrin full time now, and being able to have 2 books of information to go off of, by the time you get to Sunday, I mean, that's a lot of track time on a very similar motorcycle.
And with Loris now being as fast as he is, you know, like Josh mentioned it the other day, you know, he can really look at his data and see and make improvements, you know, where that Loris is quicker than him, or maybe getting on the throttle, brake pressure, all these different things. Whenever your lap times are close, you can really look at that data and learn something. You know, when your teammate's a second and a half off, when you look at that data, that doesn't really, you know, it's hard to find anything. But, you know, for the whole team, I think just last year, having all the support from Ducati, Warhorse, HSBK, doing it the right way, putting a lot of resources into it, and they get 2 really good riders too, and that helps.
It was a great look there as Josh Herrin exiting the podium area with his wife Rachel making their way over to the post-race press conference. But it was a great look to see just the behind-the-scenes access that fans are able to get at each MotoAmerica race weekend. With any of the tickets that you purchase to get in here, you too can go down there and celebrate with the riders at the podium. And the post-race press conference, those are closed off to the public, but they do stream live on all of the social channels and are available on demand on MotoAmerica Live Plus as well. So it's a great way to get even more insights for all of those hardcore race fans getting ready to head on to the next round of competition that will be at WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca in just a couple of weeks. So the championship now at the halfway mark, and it continues to heat up. And as Josh now walking in there, you saw that on the shot. You saw where he was going to go and find the seat. Roger, what's your biggest takeaway, you think, from this Superbike race?
I think the biggest takeaway is the winner, Josh Herrin, and the way he's won. When he won at Brainerd, dominated. When he won at Road America, he dominated. And it's just the way that he's riding right now. I mean, we're going into some tracks that he really likes. He loves Laguna. He's been to Mid-Ohio. He won at Coda last year. So I think that's the biggest takeaway. You know, he's peaking right at the perfect time.
We're getting to some tracks where the Ducati is really good. We know it can change directions well. Let's go ahead and get back over to Greg and Jason.
Josh Herrin, top of the podium, getting to celebrate his awesome win. He was saying after the race that it felt good, and it had to. Let's take a look at how it all unfolded.
Yeah, right off the start, Cam Peterson gets a good jump here. You see Herrin almost got passed by his teammate. We didn't get to see that angle at the beginning, but it was Herrin who ended up getting past Cam P and setting sail. Peterson went with him, and he said he had pace, but just struggled a little bit with arm pump last quarter of the race. Xavi Flores would go up underneath Gagne. Gagne would kind of start to march a little bit backwards down the field, but Bobby Fong was doing the opposite. He was moving forward, Greg. He gets by Baz. He would literally get on the back of Cam Peterson. Herrin was pulling out. Look at this Wrench Motorcycles R1 turn, gets up underneath Cam P. Cam P at this point really didn't have a lot to fight back with. As he tried to, as they went in here, you'll see this front just tuck on him there, and good save from him. Both riders were talking about that move afterwards. Hayden Gillum also man on the move. Greg, he'd come all the way up and finish 6th on his stock 1000 spec CBR 1000, and you know, great result for him. But Josh Herrin wins this race. Man, the points championship, I'm looking forward. That's what I'm looking forward to seeing, is where the championship points are.
Fine, if you're looking forward to it, then we're going to show it to you when we get back to Ridge Motorsports Park, because this championship has snugged up, and this guy right here could go on a roll, and he is in the championship hunt.
Continuing here on MotoAmerica Live Plus, after 3 full days of action, we had practice and qualifying on Friday, qualifying and racing on Saturday, Roger, then some fantastic races today as well. And of course, you know, the 60 men and women that make up our MotoAmerica Live Plus TV crew here all weekend. Certainly thank you to everyone in the truck and outside of the truck, all around the racetrack. It's been a great weekend of racing. Now at the halfway point of the Superbike schedule, we also have Michael Hill that's been with us all weekend, as well as, I know you're not going to be with us next time when we go out to WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca, sadly, but what are you going to take back to England with you?
Well, I'm going to take back a load of free swag, as I normally do, but apart from that, no, what I'm going to take away is just another fantastic 2024 MotoAmerica weekend, hasn't it? It's been absolutely amazing. The amount of fans, I don't know if the camera can just look across here, look at the amount of people that are actually pouring out of this venue here at the Ridge Motorsports Park. Hundreds and hundreds, thousands of people that have been here this week. And as you said, Jamie, I will miss the next race, unfortunately. My overseas commitments mean I missed Laguna Seca for the first time since about 2016, which is a real shame for me, but I will be back, obviously, with the broadcast team from mid-Ohio. Looking forward to finishing the season out with you guys. So just as ever, really, Jamie and Roger, it's always a pleasure to work with you. Just want to say a big thanks to all of the crew, especially Tyler and Remy, of course, that I make them run up and down when we do the mic on the mic segment. So big thanks to them. And, of course, a big shout-out I want to give to Steve Green as well, who is normally with us. I know he's not been here. He's not been feeling too well. So, Steve, I've missed you, buddy, and I look forward to working with you again at some point before the end of the season. But, yeah, Jamie, I think I'm just going to take back that we're having a great season. There's less than 10 points in the Superbike Championship. Every class is stacked, isn't it? I mean, cannot wait for what is to come. So, from me, I'll say goodbye for now, and I'll see you guys at Mid-Ohio.
Yes, thank you for all of that hard work. We look forward to seeing you down the road. We will have Joe Ankier joining us back at WeatherTech Raceway, Laguna Seca. Roger, he said it that there is no championship here in the MotoAmerica championship season that is a runaway.
No, and I think that's what's most exciting about it, how many Superbike, Supersport got separated a little bit today. Go back to Stock 1000. You can go all the way down the list and see these championships. You can tell some of these riders who are fighting for the title are starting to get a little bit tight. The pressure's getting a little bit hotter as the season goes on, and it's going to be fun to watch.
In just a couple of weeks, we're going to have another full field. Make sure that you're logged into your computer. Go ahead and look up the schedules right now and make sure that you're ready when we continue and begin our coverage at WeatherTech Raceway, Laguna Seca. And with that, we're going to go ahead and send it back over to Greg White and Jason Pridmore. They'll round out the coverage here on MotoAmerica Live Plus. And for all of the fans as they are continuing to exit this wonderful facility, thank you to everybody for the hospitality and hosting this championship this weekend. Greg and Jason, it's all yours to the end of the day. Thank you.
Welcome back to Ridge Motorsports Park in Shelton, Washington. Steel Commander Superbike race number 2 is in the books, in the record books, and Josh Herrin commanding victory. You want to know the championship point standings, Jason Pridmore? Here it is. Bobby Fong back up top, 1 point. Cam Peterson only 7 back, and now Josh Herrin is 9 points back. How close do you like it? Loris Baz still well in contention as we have just less than half the season.
But honestly, STK and Bobier, believe it or not, are still in contention.
Yeah.
Bobier is just over 2 races out. But that said, with all these guys that can get in each other's way and any of that stuff, you really still have 7 guys that are well in contention of the championship still, with as many races as we have to go.
I mean, we talked about it, Jason, on a piece of paper that it was going to be a very competitive season. It is turning out that way. Here we go. 3 Steel Commander Superbike races at Laguna Seca. Then we have Mid-Ohio, Circuit of the Americas, and New Jersey Motorsports Park. And I'm going to tell you something. These are all good racetracks. They're smooth. They're freshly paved. Circuit of the Americas is going to have some more stuff done to it.
Yep.
We were there.
Yeah, we were.
For King of the Bagger. Mr. King of the Baggers all the way back in April. And there's more pavement, more stuff being put down since we were there. What a season we are having in Steel Commander Superbike. What a place. What a host. Shelton, Washington and Ridge Motorsports Park. That's when we're going to be on the air again. It's less than 2 weeks' time for Steel Commander Superbike race number 1 from WeatherTech Raceway, Laguna Seca. You don't want to miss it, as this championship is as tight as you like it. Who's going to show up prepared? Who's going to get a good setup on Friday for Saturday's race? I don't know. For Hannah and Jason, I'm Greg. Can't wait to see you then.
Everything.